Okay everyone, welcome back to another 2021 related movie review, and this is for a non-spoiler review, and a new MCU movie is upon us. And that is of course The Eternals. This is the 26th movie into the franchise. This is directed by Chloe Zhao, who wrote the script with Patrick Burley, Ryan Firpo, and Cass Flaja. This stars an ensemble cast of Angelina Jolie, Gemma Chan, Salma Hayek, Kit Harington, Kumail Nanjiani, Richard Madden, Brian Tyree Henry, Lauren Ridloff, Harris Patel, and Leah McHugh. In this movie, the Eternals is an immortal race, and they emerges from hiding after thousands of years to protect the Earth from their evil counterparts, known as the Deviants. This also explores the aftermath of Avengers Endgame and What Fear. When it comes to the Eternals, I was very excited for this. Now, this is a movie that I was curious about. I didn't know how to feel about it because this is so out there, it's so different, and because it's not a familiar team of heroes I know. They're not Avengers, Guardians of the Galaxy, or even the Fantastic Four and the X-Men. And also, what really had my interest that this was going to go into a more cosmic era, which I don't mind. And of course, this movie was delayed, and of course, this movie did have some uphill battle when it comes to, of course, the reception of the film before I saw it. And when I initially posted my thoughts on Letterboxd, I gave this movie a 3.5 out of 4 stars. 5 stars. I gave it a slight praiseworthy review despite some issues. But now, after a thought process for this movie, having sit on this movie for multiple hours, this new MCU entry, I'm pretty disappointed. I am very disappointed with this. Now, I don't hate it. This is not the worst Marvel Cinematic Universe movie ever. I don't even think it's one of the worst things the MCU's done. You can lead out to Iron Fist. And I don't even think this is one of the worst comic book movies of all time. The thing I have against this movie the most is the frustrations, because this was supposed to be the movie that was supposed to be the big game changer of the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe. They were going to try something different. And while this movie mostly succeeds in that, there are a lot of things in this movie that frustrates me to the best of my abilities. And I'm going to be as nice about this as I can. Starting right off with the positives, because there are some good things I could say about this movie. First off, I definitely have to say that I appreciate the fact that this movie is very disconnected from some of the other MCU appearances. This movie, it is a more mature and more human Marvel Cinematic Universe film, and I can definitely appreciate the effort that Chloe Zhao brings to this. Chloe Zhao is a recent Oscar-winning director. She is a great director. Nomadland proved that so. And for some people who have seen this movie disappointed, they may not think that, but Nomadland is a good movie that I recommend checking out. And I do appreciate what she was trying to bring here with this. It's something different, it's something more intriguing. And I also appreciate the fact that she did go to Kevin Feige herself and pitch this idea about the Eternals. Which, this is something that we desperately need. We do need more cosmic superheroes besides Guardians of the Galaxy and Captain Marvel. And I will say the movie, it did do a good job at what it set out to do mostly. It did take us into a new direction. It did have some more interesting elements. I love the more fantastical and inventive elements that they go here. And I will say this movie is more ambitious. It's more ambitious than I thought it was going to be. I respect the ambition that Chloe Zhao wants to bring into this. It's very ambitious. It's something new. It's something creative, and I will say it goes for a lot of things here. It is very grand, it's very cosmic-like, it's very epic, it's very big grand scale. It's not in the situation with the Avengers or Guardians of the Galaxy. This is more of they have to do what they're set out to do, even though the reasons why they can't interfere and such, and why they couldn't be involved in the Thanos snap. I do like the explanation for that. I will say the character stuff, for the most part, I actually didn't mind. There was some character development for some heroes I didn't mind. And I do love this team, is for the most part. This is a team I could see easily working in terms of a different style. And I will say the movie, it's very different in what it sets out to do, which is something I definitely give credit. Now, I love a lot of Marvel Cinematic Universe movies that are basically heroes having to do different things, but I like the fact here that you get to be able to see a different side of heroes that we've never seen before. And I appreciate what this movie was going for. It's trying to be more human, more theme-like, which some of the themes of this movie of loss and betrayal and love, I can definitely appreciate a lot of that stuff in this movie, and they went for it here. I do appreciate the effort here. Visual effects wise, the effects in this movie are great. I heard some people say the effects are bad. For $200 million, there is some pretty great effects. There are some moments where the CGI is a little spotty a few times, but the effects are still very good. And I do like some of the powers that each of these characters have. You have one power that reminds me of the Flash, one which you can feel anyone's emotions. You have one power that definitely does pay homage to Superman, which is nice to see Marvel and other properties pay homage to Superman. Because right now DC is not trying to figure out what they're trying to do with Cavill and Superman. I will say some of this cast I actually don't mind. I like most of the performances here. Some of my standouts were Richard Madden as Icarus. I thought he was really good for what he has to do. You had Camille Nanjiani as the comic relief, very funny. Leah Mayhew, I thought she did a very good job. Angelina Jolie was my favorite character in the movie as Thena. She reminded me so much of Wonder Woman. And even though Salma Hayek is not in it that much, I will say she also tried as well. I also didn't mind Brian Tyree Henry in his role. Yes, I know there's this whole thing with them calling this movie what is not in with his character, but it's only in one freaking scene of the movie, so it's pretty unnecessary to people to trash. And I will say there's a lot of ideas I like here about the Celestials and the Deviants and the Eternals themselves. And I very much love the musical score by Ramin Djawadi. It's a very great score. It's one of the few things I can remember going back to if I do want anything related to this movie, is the score. And I appreciate a lot of the things that they wanted to do, and this is something, like I said, it's something that we never seen before, and in some ways, some people will not like that, but for this, I can definitely appreciate it. So far, this phase has been going for a lot of things different. I love WandaVision, which was something different. Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I thought was very good, but not as good as WandaVision. Shang-Chi was definitely something for the Asian culture, and I definitely much appreciated that movie for that. So I don't mind the fact that we're getting something different. It's about time for one of these phases in the MCU. And despite how I feel about this movie, I definitely do want to see more of this cosmic world and more cosmic characters like She-Hulk and Smash, and you have the Fantastic Four. We're definitely getting the Marvels 2023, even though I still wish it was 2022. But I've found that to be just fine. when it comes to movie release dates. Also, it gives the movie more time to fully set out to do what it's set out to do in terms of direction from Nia DaCosta. And I will say there's a lot more ways we could get cosmic worlds. And without spoiling it, I will say one of the post-credit scenes definitely does set up for a certain Daywalker. So I definitely can appreciate the movie for that. It definitely does know what it wanted to do. And I can see the whole thing that we wanted to see. Something different, something creative. And I will say for the action scenes that are there, those set pieces I think are fine. And I did like some of the quieter moments as well, what they were trying to go for. So I definitely give credit to where credit is due. So there is pretty much enough things I like in this movie. From visuals, cinematography, to Chloe Zhao's direction, some of the performances, its ambition, and a lot of the themes that they try to go along with. I can definitely give credit to where credit is due for that. They definitely did go for it, so I do have to give credit to it. And all you people on the internet who is just both of you sides, the MCU fans who think there's a vendetta towards this movie, and you fans who are calling this movie woke and shit because of decisions are made, and those who are just constantly going back and forth. I'm just gonna say this right now in one little clip.
That's stupid. Use your common sense.
Like, at this point, this is the 25th MCU movie, and you people still act like adding some new things or adding new characters, especially characters of color or cosmic heroes like Captain Marvel or Asian heroes like Shang-Chi is the fucking stupidest thing in the world. Stop going into these movies with that mindset. It is became increasingly annoying and increasingly stupid at this point. Moving into the mix aspect, I will say that some of the characters in this movie I thought were pretty iffy. Now, some characters, I'm not saying the performances of most of these characters were bad, but there were quite a few times where I feel like some of them didn't really get that much to do, or I just didn't really care about a few of them. There is quite like character like Fastos. He was interesting, but I didn't really mind him all that too much. I'm talking about a few of the other characters like Ajax, who does get underutilized, and there are some decisions that I felt like here that while I appreciated, I definitely will say you did get a little bit too caught up in your ambitions here. And the other mixed aspect I definitely have to say is, unfortunately, the character of Zersei. This is a very interesting character who I gave credit to in my positives in terms of interesting ideas. But Gemma Chan, even though I don't think she's a bad actress, she is a decent enough actress. Not that she was bad per se as the lead, I just didn't get a whole lot of connection with her, unfortunately. There are a few times where I think she was trying, but I just felt like this is one of the casting decisions besides another character that you could have easily recast it and it wouldn't be that much of a problem. And also, I will say that the story that they're going for, while I do appreciate its big, grand epicness, to do all this in one film, unfortunately, this is where I do have to get into the negatives. have to get into the problems, because while I will say the story was interesting, I just feel like there is way too much going on in this story to warrant the runtime that it does, because it has so much it has to tell. Granted, it's not as bad as the story in Green Lantern, but I just felt like the story that they're trying to go for here, while I do appreciate the story and the ambitions here, I just felt like the story does get a little bit too all over the place and a little bit too crazy here. Now, the main reason why I feel that way is because this movie has so much story and so much ambition it's trying to tell. You have this whole idea. This has 7,000 years worth of lore and story to tell in one movie. That alone could easily been a movie by itself about the lore and how the rules and regulations are set up. But along with that, when you get to the actual story of this movie, them having to work together, I'm not sure the way they execute it and the way it's written and the way it's played out, where we have to go from flashback to time jump, it definitely gets a little bit out of hand at this point. I felt personally that you should just went with one story or the other. I know this is a new group of heroes we haven't seen yet. I know this is something different. I know this is important to know. But I just feel like this movie gets way too exposition heavy. Way too exposition heavy to the point where it becomes a little bit too talkative, and it just kind of disconnects itself so much from the actual story of the film. Also, I definitely have to say the villain of this movie is not the most interesting. Kit Harington is a good actor, but you could easily took him out of the movie and it wouldn't have made much of a difference. And because when you get to the actual main villain somewhat of the story with Icarus, spoiler alerts, it's very confusing to me why the decisions that were made here. I was paying attention. I was understanding what was going on here. But I just felt like this was another problem with the script. The script has so much it wants to put into this for the runtime that it does, that it not only makes this movie slow, but it makes it a little complicated to follow at times. Now, we're not used to that with the MCU. I do give it credit for trying to do that, but you should just picked one story or the other. And honestly, this would have worked better as a little Green Lantern Emerald Knights show or something from Disney Plus, because I personally felt like that this movie tries to do too much in one movie. Is asking us to care about these characters, but also care about this whole lore. It's like, calm down. It's okay to save some for later. Now, as I said, you could have taken those from Green Lantern Emerald Knights and gave the whole lore mythology part of things its own individual movie. I think that would have been better than putting it all into one movie, or a Disney Plus series. Now, the character development stuff with some of these characters is not a problem. It's just when you got to some of these characters, either they are underutilized or they don't get as much to do as I feel like. And with the story and the characters and the villain, I definitely have to say this movie's pacing is so slow. The pacing of this movie is very slow. I'm not expecting wall-to-wall action scenes, but when you're called a superhero movie, you definitely expect some action scenes right in the middle portion of your movie. And this movie definitely does suffer from this slow pace. mainly due to its story and its script. You should have just picked one or the other. And I will also come out on the limb and say there are some humor in this movie that is not very funny. Now, the stuff with Commander Gianni and the little girl is fine. The references to DC are fine. Even some of the humor from Brian Tyree Henry is fine. But then there is some humor here that it just didn't quite stick the landing here, unfortunately. The last complaint, this movie is also way too fucking long, alright? This movie is 2 hours and 37 minutes. There are some things in this movie that definitely should have been cut out from the first half or second half, left on the other room floor. Again, I admire Chloe Zhao. I admire what she wanted to do. There are some things in the script you could have easily taken out. Or just save some of that exposition for another movie. Because this movie is bogged down by its slow pace. The pace of the movie, I feel like this movie should have been at least 2 hours and 21 minutes or something. I'm not saying you shouldn't be able to have a big epic film like this where you can get to know these characters and such, but when it comes to your exposition scenes and your moments of dialogue, character-driven stuff, there is some you easily gotta trim the fat. I'm sorry, you have to trim the fat in most of your moments. And my big thing when it comes to this movie, man. Okay, when you get to a certain point, the second act of this movie definitely does suffer from this big, long, slow pace, and it's just, ugh. All in all, guys, do I hate the Marvel's Eternals? No. I don't hate this movie. Are there things in this movie I can admire and appreciate? Yes. I can definitely appreciate the ambition, the story that they're trying to tell, the action scenes, the performances, and the direction that they were trying to do. I can admire what this movie is trying to do, but at the same time, there's just a lot of things here that could have easily been avoided, that easily could have been fixed. And for a movie with a first cosmic group that we've never seen before, this should have been freaking amazing. This should have been one of the best movies of the year. But unfortunately for me, this was definitely nowhere near as good as some of the other MCU movies. It's not even near as good as Shang-Chi, or WandaVision, or Falcon and Winter Soldier, and it's definitely nowhere near as good as Captain Marvel, or something like Thor Ragnarok, or Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, or even the Avengers quadrilogy. I really wanted to love this movie, guys, and I really do, because I am a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I was actually one of the people who was rooting for this. But unfortunately, with the things I like in this movie, I like, and the things I hate about this movie, I hate. So, this is not the worst MCU movie. I do appreciate some things in it, but this is definitely an MCU movie I don't see myself going back to rewatching anytime soon. So I'm definitely going to give this movie, I'm going to be fair, and I will say this. If you are interested in this movie, go to the film and make up your own opinion. Because there's always that one person who likes the movie more than you. And if you like the movie, you like it. If you hate it, you hate it. If you're in the middle, you're in the middle. That's just common sense. For me, I'm in the middle. And everyone who is... Can we not go into a war about this movie on social media? Just respect each other's opinions. At the end of the day, The Eternals, I think is a fine movie, but this is a bit of a wasted potential. With that being said, I'm still interested to see the cosmic side of things when we get to the Marvel's Fantastic Four, and of course, Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness next year. As for the Eternals, I'm gonna be fair, and I'm gonna give this movie 2 grades. I would say you could stream this, but a very low stream it on Disney Plus when it hits. But for some people who are not gonna like this movie and who's very about it, it's a red box rental at best. This is a red box rental and a stream it. It's very disappointing, especially since Marvel has been doing great this year. Outside of Loki, I didn't see that. And I'm hoping No Way Home is good, and I pray to God that Hawkeye is not bad. Especially since I'm interested in that show only because of Jeremy Renner. We'll see how Haley Steinfeld does. But for right now, if she's gonna be as annoying as the Grandmaster, then no. I don't want to see Kay Bishop take the mantle. Then no. Anyways, guys, that was my review. Frustrating review for The Eternals. In the comment section down below, what did you guys think about The Eternals? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you somewhere right in the middle? If you like sending money to my Cash App, you can email me and DM me privately to do so. If my Amazon wish list is also in the description box down below if you like to send anything. All my social media links are in the description box down below. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and notification bell to get notified when new videos like this are up. I'll see you guys in the next one. You guys keep it cool. Enjoy the Epictasticness.